Hi, I'm Todd Herman. Welcome back to Sketches. We are very appreciative of Sandwich Community Television helping the Sandwich Arts Alliance get our messages out. We've got another great show for you. This is our Holidays show, and we've already had a lot of activity with Holidays, sort of an early start with some staged readings that we talked about last time, Ashes to Ashes, and just finished a wonderful show, Come Feast and Be Merry.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete.
Tempus aedes gratiae, hoc quod carmina letitia, debutere damus.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete.
Deus homo factus est naturae ante, mundus renovatus est acquis florendate.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete.
Ezequielis porta placet etiam situs, unde lux est nota salus infinitus.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete.
Ergo nostra conscios salatiam in nostra, benedicat Dominus salus Regi nostra.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus ex Maria Virgine, gaudete.
As you can see from these pictures, we had quite a fun evening. But the fun continues, and I've got two of our literary artists in our studio today. I welcome Carol LeComte, who grew up in New Jersey, is relatively new to the Cape. It's been here 3.5 years. Her background is as a technical artist. She also worked did some publishing. Many years working for General Electric as a technical artist with them. But she's been retired for 15 years, and since then, I understand she has kept very busy, both with the visual arts as well as literary arts, and that she's doing some writing as well as continuing her artwork. And I also have with me Glyn Dowden, who grew up in Wales, and we'll be learning a little bit more about that later in the show. He has published books of poetry. He is also very new to the Cape. He and his wife moved here about a year ago from Connecticut, I believe. And we're thrilled to have both of you with us.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit with this, the show Sketches. We have not really had any literary artists on here yet. And so tell us about how that group works within the Sandwich Arts Alliance.
Initially, the literary group was one large mass of writers. We gathered to share our experiences, to listen to others in the publishing business. And as we grew, it looked necessary to develop smaller groups where we could address our individual needs, like how to find a publisher, the art of writing. So that's when the smaller groups developed, and I facilitate the fiction group. We do have a nonfiction group. We had a memoir group and a children's group, which are currently being reformed. And we are looking to start poetry group and perhaps a a playwriting group.
So it really depends on who the members are at the time,
Exactly.
and Glenn, you're involved with the
Yes.
fiction group as well.
Short stories.
And so, what's a typical meeting of the group? What do you usually
of
do?
the fiction group?
Yeah.
The fiction group, we generally have writers who share their writing, and then the group gives comments as to any problems or high points of that writing, and we hope to, in that relationship, each develop a better style or a better form of writing, and also to encourage each other in the forms we've already mastered.
Great.
If any.
So you're supporting each other, but then you also it's an opportunity for you to promote your particular interests and
Yes.
works.
Yes,
And
we
that's
do.
what I understand we have within the holidays schedule coming up. One of those opportunities, particularly with Glyn,
Yes.
to hear and learn a little bit more about Dylan Thomas. So that event is coming up on Saturday, December 10th at 2 o'clock in the Sandwich Library. And so I'd love to talk to you a little bit more, Glenn, about what we might expect.
Well, basically, excuse me, I will be presenting a reenactment of Dylan Thomas. I will be dressed as Dylan Thomas as I am here. This is not the normal way I
Oh, I
dress.
just thought that was you're just kind of a rumpled old gentleman. No, that's you.
No,
You
Dylan-
are Dylan Thomas today.
Dylan Thomas looked a little bit like this on occasions, a rumpled man who really didn't look after himself very well, and with curly hair and so on. He actually came from a town called Swansea, which was about 45 miles from where I lived in Wales. Wales, if people don't know, is on the left-hand side of Great Britain, facing Ireland. It's a small country. It's made up of just over 3 million people, I think. It's about the size of Connecticut, actually.
Okay.
And Dylan Thomas was our finest poet. He has an amazing way with words. He has a rhythm of his own and produces dense and lyrical poems. Some of his standout poems are poems called Prologue, Fern Hill, In Country Sleep. He produced a massive amount of work before he died at the age of 39. He was born in 1914, died in 1953, in New York, actually. He was very popular in America. He toured New York and rest of America on 4 separate occasions. And I'm going to provide some of his poems to the audience and also narrative. I will be telling some of his stories, witticisms, jokes. I will sing in Welsh as he would have done, because he liked to frequent bars. He was an alcoholic. And so I will be completing that in the way and tradition of the Welsh happy-go-lucky person that he was.
Okay, so this is probably a good time to ask you. This is more for adults, and maybe high school age would find this interesting. This is not really for younger children.
Yes. I will do an excerpt from one of his stories, which is appreciated by younger children. It's called A Child's Christmas in Wales, but it will only be a short excerpt. So the rest of the show will be geared that way.
So it's really more. The show is really about Dylan Thomas and his. So give us a little flavor for what you might be reading that day, and feel free to break into song if you'd like.
Yes. Well, Dylan, he would say that for him, it was the sound of the words that were the most important thing. Even from an early age, he fell in love with words. the sounds of the sea, the wind, the rain, hooves on cobblestones. And this is how he wrote his poems. For example, one poem that I would like to read here now is called In Country Heaven. Always when he, in country heaven, whom my heart hears, crosses the breast of the praising east, humble in all his planets, and weeps in the abasing hills, in the delight and rose, beasts and birds in the canonized valley, where the downfall stars sing grazing still, and the angels whir like pheasants in the isles of leaves. Light and his tears glide down together, or hand in hand from the country eyes, salt, sun, and stars roll down the cheekbones and whinnying downs into the low, browsing dark, doused in hamlets of heaven. Now those are the first couple of stanzas okay, of a very long poem, In Country Heaven. Dylan was very close to his father, who was a senior English school teacher at Swansea Grammar School. And his father taught him Shakespeare and provided him an abundance of words from the classics. His father also taught Welsh to children at their home, but never to Dylan. He insisted that Dylan had elocution lessons in English. Okay. His father himself wanted to be a poet, so he encouraged Dylan to become a poet and speak only in English.
So how do you personally relate to him?
How do I personally relate to him? Well, I appreciate his rhythm, his lyrics. I really fell in love with him when I was in my 20s, I think, listening to him. And it is the sound of his voice that really attracts you to his poetry.
And what about the musical aspects? As I know you're also a singer, and how do you work that in?
So I work that in by telling people a little bit about Wales. And one of the things that's maybe interesting about Wales is most people like to sing, especially when they've been in contact with alcohol. And
the words are very long. I know that.
And most men and women can sing at least 3 or 4 songs in the English language. Although, with regard to the language, only about 1 in 5 people in Wales can actually speak Welsh. And that's really due to the long subjugation of the English. So, I'd like to now sing a short verse of a popular Welsh song.
Great.
If I may. Mae bis Marian wedi gwio, a gath wedi scrap o Johnny Bach, a Dowden and a gwydim iach, a gath wedi scrap o Johnny Bach. Sosban fach a berian y tan, sosban fach a berian y lla, a gath wedi sgramo Johnny Bach.
Wow. Oh, we've got a great new tenor that has come to Sandwich. That's fantastic.
That was a song that originated in a town in Wales called Llanelli, and it's a simple song about a young family. The wife, Marianne, has cut her finger. The baby is crying. A pot is boiling over on the stove. The servant is not well. Little Johnny is being scratched by a cat. And little Di is walking up and down like a soldier with his shirt hanging out. So as you can appreciate...
So we can all relate to that.
It doesn't have a lot of meaning. And so people sometimes wonder, why is this particular song popular in Wales? Perhaps the Welsh musically deficient. It's not really that. It's when you put certain sounds with certain sounds of words with certain sounds of music together, that's what attracts the emotions and senses of the Welsh. We don't know what attracts the emotions and the senses of the English. We do know that they like fish and chips, pork pies, the Queen and the British Broadcasting Company. Other than that, we're completely oblivious to the English.
Great. Well, we look forward to learning more about Dylan Thomas on Saturday, December 10th at 2 p.m. in the Sandwich Town Library. Thank you, Glyn, for joining us.
Thank you.
And Carolyn, thank you so much. So you can reserve a spot for that great Dylan Thomas show by contacting the library, either drop in or go online. There's no charge for admission, but they do want to get a sense of how many people will be there, so you should reserve a spot. The next day of Holidays is the Sunday, December 11th, and that it means it's the home tours. The Sandwich Chamber of Commerce organizes that. There's actually a holly trolley that you can ride around and see about 9 different homes or some inns. But there's also this year the old First Parish Church, which is now a private residence, and many of us know it as the old doll museum, will also be open as part of the home tours. And an additional feature of that particular location, which is just amazing, is that we're going to have some of our visual artists there with their works, and also just interacting and showing you a little bit about what they do. And those artists that will be part of that are Jamie Lynn Mosca, Donna Fitzmaurice, Catherine Claycamp, June Kershaw, Hannah Hilliard-Bouvier, and Pat Mosca. And so I encourage you to get on the Holly Trolley, and just another great Sandwich Arts Alliance event. And speaking of Hannah Hilliard-Bouvier, she has joined us in the studio, and she is a local artist. She does some of the classes with the Sandwich Arts Alliance. She has kids in STEM Academy and the high school. She really focuses in her artwork on as a printmaker and illustrator, and really enjoys folk art. And we're very pleased to have you. And she is joined once again by Carolyn LeComte, who I think people will see after this show has many talents, because she one group is not enough for her. She can't just do literary arts. She's also active in the visual arts. And I'm joined by this other creature. And Carolyn, can you introduce who this is?
Well, I think some of you might recognize Stella, our prototype Starfish. She is the first one of 20 who will be decorated, embellished, and made beautiful for next year's Starfish Trail, which is the Sandwich Arts Alliance Visual Artists Project with the local merchants and local organizations. We have developed this concept to
raise awareness of the Alliance and
That's
the
it.
community, and
Yep.
connect the community businesses
There you
with.
go. That's it. Always.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so much. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the visual artists to share their artwork with the community, and then also for local businesses to support the arts.
So,
that
there
was-
was an initial request then that went out for artists to participate?
No,
No?
this is one of those. I think it's an anomaly, where most projects like this are initiated by the town, and they solicit artists. Whereas this is coming from an arts organization,
Yeah.
and we've solicited town merchants and organizations to be our sponsors.
Okay.
And each merchant or organization will be sponsoring one starfish to be put in a place they designate at their business, most likely. And these will be displayed all next summer. The kickoff is around Memorial Day, when we will have everything in place, and we will have an unveiling before that at the Pilot House. And at the end of the summer, around Labor Day, we will have an auction in which we hope to raise money for the Arts Alliance and provide community members with the opportunity to have one of these as their very own.
So how did you ever come up with this idea?
Well, it started with a subgroup of the visual artists. We got together to determine what our projects would be. And I just remembered, having lived in the Pittsfield area, the sheepathon, or whatever they called it, where they had life-size sheep,
Yeah.
fiberglass sheep, and artists were solicited to paint them and decorate them.
So this is like, there were cows, I think,
There were
in
cows,
one
there were
area.
moose
and
up in Bennington.
Yeah.
And
I believe also on the Cape there have been whales. as
Whales
well.
and
I
sharks.
think sharks.
Yep, sharks.
And then the recently lobsters, right?
Oh, yes,
in
out
Plymouth.
Plymouth, right, yeah.
Yeah. So,
And so
but how?
this-
So how did we come up with Starfish? That was going to
Well,
be the sandwich
The
signature.
I think most of the other towns that have done this have had bigger budgets, perhaps, and we wanted to start small because we didn't want to come out with a life-size whale or shark or anything like that. And Starfish just seemed to be the right size for us to start with.
Yeah.
And if this project is
Because these
at-
will be in front of businesses, right?
in front
Yeah.
of businesses,
Yeah.
and we didn't want to go and say, well, give us $1,000 and you can have this gigantic thing in front of your business. We wanted to start small, and as it is progressing, we've been quite happy with the community response, and so in future years we may be growing, maybe.
So
to
do you
bigger
have
things.
enough locations to match the number of artists that are working on this?
Yes, we had a very good turnout of sponsors.
great.
And
You know what I think is so exciting about the Starfish is the fact that they'll actually be able to have, engaging the community with children and visitors so that they can find the starfish and follow
That's
us.
the trail that you were
Yep.
talking about, the Starfish
Yeah.
Trail,
Starfish
that
Trail. Yeah.
we'll have
Right.
that published somewhere
Exactly. And there'll be maps
Yeah.
for visitors to find all the starfish.
Great. So when is the big reveal, and we'll start to see these actually done?
The reveal for the artists and the sponsors will be at the Pilot House on May 17th, I believe the date is. And that will be the first time the artists and sponsors meet each other, because we are doing this blindly. The artists nor the sponsors know who they are working with.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big surprise for everyone.
So that's great. So right now, are the artists starting to work? I
Yes.
see this one's hasn't been started
I
yet,
know,
but
she's
but
mine, so.
some of them have started. It's so it's in their studios or
Right.
garages
All
or
of
wherever
them
it
have
might
been
be.
distributed, yes.
Okay.
I
So that
can't wait to see
that
them.
must have been something. How did they all arrive?
They arrived on a truck bigger than I ever expected. It was a tractor trailer, and it came down the road. I got the message that it was coming. They didn't let me know when. They just said, it's on the way. And I went out in front of my house, and I saw this huge truck coming down the road, and I said, that's not going in my driveway. There's no way. But luckily, we lived next door to a small church with a parking lot, and they're always very gracious and allow us to use their space. So the truck pulled in there, and one man got this 450-pound package out of the truck, and then we proceeded to bring them over into my garage.
Great. So it's really 2017 then is all about
The
Starfish
yeah,
and Sandwich
that's our
and this
Starfish,
project.
right.
And then what a great way to kind of kick off, sort of to end holidays and kick off the new year with First Night Sandwich. So I understand we're going to see some starfish in the parade. So
Absolutely.
tell us about that.
So I was at a meeting, and I work with children with the Art Alliance. So they always say, "Oh, well, Hannah, why don't you come up with something fun to do for the kids?" And I thought, oh, what a cool project would it be to have the kids create, just like the artists are doing from the Art Alliance, and create their own starfish. So what I've done is, with the help of the Key Club at the high school, is that the kids will be able to, I've created blanks, just like Stella is a blank, and they'll be able to decorate these. I will have markers and paint and pom-poms and streamers and tissue paper and many hands to help facilitate the children creating their one-of-a-kind starfish, and then they will be able to march in the final parade.
And that's theirs?
And that's theirs.
To take home with them.
And that's theirs to take home with them. What we would love to see happen is if they could bring them back maybe to the 4th of July parade.
Oh, fun.
But yeah, that's their take home from
Great.
the thing. And I just think it's so much fun. I think that it kind of creates an energy, and kids will come up with some amazing things.
Yeah.
I really
Well, I
think
know
so.
that first night is fast approaching, and we've got a number of performers that are Sandwich Arts Alliance members, and I think it's great that we have this project with the Alliance specifically. And if you didn't want to do a starfish, or if I see there's something else you can make there.
Yeah, well, so I brought this specifically for you. So I try to keep the project simple and fun, but this, I would like to give it to you to try it out.
Okay.
I think that it'll be a good, beacon for people to find you if they need you on first night.
I think this sticks. I think I'm going to need to.
All right, good.
Great.
Because the kids, it's a paper bag,
Yeah.
and I've sprayed a number of them black, and then they'll be able to embellish them with all sorts of different things, glitter and pom-poms and ribbon, and everything will be available.
Well, thank you. This is particularly special, and that I did not have to get my hands dirty, and because it wouldn't look like this if I made it. But
I'm sure it would be just as unique and special. So hopefully we'll have a stream of people wearing festive hats and carrying starfish to enjoy the right into the new year.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you and surrounded by lots of kids with starfish in the parade. What a great way to kick off. Is there anything else, Carolyn, that we should know about the Starfish project?
Well, right now, since everything is still in its formative stages, and the artists have just received their starfish. I'm assuming most will start after the holidays.
Yeah.
But there will be, I'm assuming, we've talked about this, some filming of the starfish being made without divulging any design secrets, because each artist has kind of a secret way of approaching this. And there will be photos taken, and I will put out some updates on through my emails to the people who are in the Arts Alliance, and then we're discussing how to perhaps put on the Arts Alliance website an ongoing process of how things are going.
Great.
Now, does Stella have a presence on Facebook?
No, she
Not
doesn't
yet.
at this point. That's
I
being
suspect
discussed.
that will be happening.
It might.
I suspect it will be.
Yeah, it's when she gets a little, more certain of her identity. Right now, she's
Wonderful. Wonderful.
No, that's great, and I'm glad you mentioned the website, because that is the best place to find out what's going on, all the various events, how you can join as a member. I mean, it's a new year. What a great time if you have any interest in the arts, performing, literary, visual, or you're just a friend of the arts and you like seeing what's going on in town. There's a lot of momentum with the Sandwich Arts Alliance. We'd love to have you join as a member. It's only $30, so and that really helps to offset some of our costs. So I thank you, Hannah and Carolyn, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And happy holidays. Welcome Yule, and Happy New Year.
Happy
Same
New
to you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Speaking of the visual arts, I just wanted to again thank some of the local businesses that continue to display the work of our members. That would be the Pilot House, Fisherman's View, Marshland 2, the Sandwich Public Library, and Cape Cod Cooperative Bank on Cotuit Road. They have various exhibits that continue to rotate, and we really appreciate those businesses supporting our members that way. Their work is for sale, and so that's we have sold work that has been displayed. So we encourage other local businesses or organizations that have a space or a wall that would like to have some local art to get in touch with the Sandwich Arts Alliance. With that, I want to thank you all. We've got a great show planned for next year, which is next month. We're going to do a look back over the year, some of the best features of the Sandwich Arts Alliance, and talk a little bit about where we're headed and what the next year portends. And I think meeting Stella, you have a good sense of where we're headed next year. So thank you all, and may you have wonderful holidays. Todd Herman, thank you.